4 debate. We're speaking hot on the heels of France's very first gay wedding. 2 young men. One of them works at the tourism office in the southern city of Montpellier. The other is a civil servant. They tied the knot just a few hours ago. And with us to talk about it, he is Marie-Laure Desbrosses of Make Mothers Matter Association. Also with us from Le Plus, the Nouvel Observateur's interactive website, Philippe Moreau-Chevrolet.
Hello.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
And Ugandan activist Usam Mukwaya. We were talking before the break about how it's changing, how it's going to change France, the law on marriage, the law on adoption. France, the 14th nation to adopt gay marriage, hot on the heels of Uruguay and New Zealand. New Zealand, where the debate in Parliament included, well, a few well-timed peaks.
I've had a reverend in my local electorate call the gay onslaught will start the day after this bill is passed. Sir, we're really struggling to know what the gay onslaught will look like. We don't know if it'll come down the Pakuranga Highway as a series of troops or whether it'll be a gas that flows in over the electorate and locks us all in. I also, sir, had a Catholic priest tell me that I was supporting an unnatural act. I found that quite interesting coming from someone who's taken an oath of celibacy for his whole life.
There a little dig at the Catholic Church. Marie-Laure Desbrosses.
It's quite easy.
Is the divide in France, as we were saying in the first part, when you hear that debate going on in New Zealand, is the divide in France a lot to do with the Church? The France is a predominantly Catholic country.
Well, I'm sure. Well, it's clear that a part of people getting mobilized, getting into mobilization are Catholics, but Muslims too, and also a lot of people who are just think it's important to care for children. It's really. I think that really this being for or against this law is whether what you put on top of your list. If you put on top of your list the right of adults, then you will do this law, and you will also have art to get children, and then also surrogacy. Because if you say that you have to give adults what they want, why not giving a child to Bruno and Vincent, and allow them to go to a country and get a child for a bit of money? Then if you decide that women's rights are more important than males' rights, then you will say, no, we will not do surrogacy because we have to protect women. So poor guys, you will not be allowed to have children. And then if you say that children's rights should be on top, then you say, am I going to give a child, am I going to deprive a child from a mother or from a father? And the question is, which rights you should put on top of it? And this is why the country is divided. Some people say adults' rights are very important, and others say, no, it's children's rights.
But you and I both know that there are plenty of children in France already raised by single-sex couples.
Yes, but it was Association of Gay and Lesbian Parents. The president told me 90% of children raised by homosexual parents have a father and a mother. They have been been born in heterosexual couples. Then there has been a divorce or a separation, and they are raised by a homosexual person. But they have a father and a mother, which is very different.
All right. Now, by the way, Britain could be next week, the House of Lords, to examine the bill that was passed in the Commons that concerns England and Wales. Scotland is to follow suit shortly.
Marriage is a great institution, and it should be there for people who are gay as well as people who aren't. That's why I've pioneered this change. I think it's important for our country, important for our society. Yes, it's about equality, but it's also about a stronger society.
So says Conservative David Cameron. But as seen last week outside of Parliament, there's a backbench revolt, a motion backed by some Conservatives who tried to shoot down the bill. It didn't work, but Philippe Moreau-Chevrolet, is the tide inevitable as it seems when you look at countries like France and Britain?
Yes, it is. I mean, currently there are many gay couples that have children. Actually, nowadays, as we speak, it's already done. They are not married, but they have children. They're raising children. These children need to have a kind of a legal frame, a legal protection between the two partners that can now get married. Before they could marry, they had problems between themselves. I mean, if one of this person was dying for some cause, they couldn't stay in the same same apartment, for instance. You had an inheritance problem. You had a lot of legal stuff that they couldn't handle, and there is a time when you can't deny what is in front of you, and the French society has changed. And the problem is, part of our society on the right side, they don't want anything to change because it's going too fast for them, and I can understand that. And they have a lot of fears, irrational fears, that maybe we're going to sell babies, as you said, or I don't know, give babies for free to gay couples. That's obviously fears that need to be fought, but that's not rational. So it's hard to debate about it. And if we have rational grounds, the question is a child happy or unhappy when he's raised by a gay couple? And the right answer to that scientific answer is as happy as any other kid, or as unhappy as any other kid. There have been dozens of studies on that matter, and they have all came to the same conclusion.
Not all.
So it's not
Not all.
about if you want to go for adult rights or the rights of children. That's not the case. That's not the point. The point is, what society are we living in? And the society we are living in is a society where gay people are getting together and have children. That's the truth. That's the reality of
The
it.
International Herald Tribune on Tuesday turned its attention to Italy with a gay wedding that it reported on, but one that was purely symbolic. Italy doesn't even have same-sex unions, much less gay marriage. How do you explain that?
Italy has a lot of issues nowadays. I don't know really. Latin countries are less more macho.
Spain has
Yeah,
Spain
and
has gay
maybe
marriage.
that's
It's not
one
the
part.
same.
Spain, and there has been no problem about that in Spain. Even the conservatives have voted for it. I don't know why some countries like France or Italy have a specific problem with that issue. I think for us there are historical reasons. We are at a time where there is no clear leader on the right. The right has no other issues to put in front of it as a front matter except this one, and they are not ideologically formed for the moment. They are in a coma, so to speak.
Usam Mukwaya, with France and very soon Britain passing this, is that going to have any impact, would you think, on Africa, where 38 countries, forget gay marriage, except for South Africa, which has civil unions, there are 38 countries in Africa that criminalize homosexuality, including yours.
I think, for example, for Uganda, I think even for France, it has been long to accept, just because when I think the gay issue, it was talked about, I think around 1945, when it was like talked about when in France they started to hear about gay, and then between 1945 to 1981, I think in France it was better not to say I'm gay, or it was better just to keep silence, you know. So today it's 2013. They passed the gay marriage.
It's a long process, but one gets the sense when we look at the news from your country that, if anything, there's a push to further criminalize homosexuality. There was a bill which is still sort of pending in Parliament to criminalize it further. They've taken away there was at one point they were even talking about the death penalty, but for certain acts, but they've taken that away. Why is that? Why is it becoming? Is the government becoming tougher on homosexuality rather than more tolerant?
Yeah, it's the cortisol. The religious leaders, the Muslims, the Christians, and so on, because like we have got these evangelical pastors, and there's evangelical that came from the United States to Uganda. I could say that they came to import homophobia. And then, so the pastor, the Muslims, and so on, they're spreading gospel over and over because they have got audience. The political leaders, because they have got audience. I could say that in Africa, once you have audience, you can say whatever you want. This is what I could say. So they preach, their gospel of homophobia. It's very bad. The way they tell people about homosexuality.
You personally
and so on.
were outed against your will back in 2008.
Yeah.
What led from there to you coming here to France?
It was a lot of things that happened to me, because first thing that happened in 2008 in June, I was arrested. And I was taken to jail for like 1 week. I stayed there from jail, went to court, from court, just like I had to keep on trials and trials till the government dropped charges on us. And then
Why were you arrested?
We were arrested because the government of Uganda, there was HIV imprimators meeting. So the president, the minister, I could say the manager of HIV protection in Uganda program, he stood like in the conference. It was international conference, and he said in Uganda they have no gay people, they have no lesbians. So on their budget of protection on HIV/AIDS in Uganda, it does not include a single coin for gay and lesbians. And then we said no. We organized a demonstration.
So you spoke up, and then shortly thereafter,
we said we are here.
And shortly after, you were arrested.
Yeah, because and then another thing, like every contact, every donor money they get to sign, they agree that they were going to work with gay and lesbians.
Uganda's most prominent gay activist, David Kato, was murdered in late 2011.
Yeah.
How much under threat were you personally?
I could say I was on the same thread like with David Kato, because normally we were working together, moving together. So I think really the time I left Uganda, if I was supposed to stay in Uganda for more 3 months, by the time I left Uganda to France, I could be the first to be murdered.
And how are things today with your family?
Today, everything I think moves well with my family, but before it was really very bad. They could see me and cross the gates, so they don't allow me to enter. But now they are calling me.
So there's a growing acceptance.
Yeah.
Okay, the story there. Do you see, when you see this debate that's taking place here in France over the issues that we're talking about, do you see this debate happening soon in Uganda?
Probably, I think so. As today in France, we have seen the first gay couple. I think now, when we talk when we say lobbying, when we try to ask, okay, French government, help us, they diplomatic to talk about, have dialogues, with the President Museveni, with the ministers, with the ambassador of Uganda in France. It's a symbolic now, I think, because before there were gay activists in France, they are trying to ask gay marriage, and they had no response. But for now, they have got the response. So I think it would be a good example for Uganda and other countries. So there is now a big dialogue between the Ugandan government or with French government. When French government stand to say, please, can you respect the gay rights in Uganda? They have an example to tell. Okay, we have passed the gay marriage.
All right, so there is a change in that respect. Closer to where we are, while Western Europe, we've been talking about it, moves towards legalizing gay marriage. In Eastern Europe, it's not quite ready, it seems. Last month, for instance, in Georgia, Orthodox priests among those actively taking part in clashes with gay activists on Anti-Homophobia Day. There were 16 people injured in those clashes. There's also been incidents that followed that with the Orthodox priests insisting it's not in our culture.
The pro-gay rights group's plan to march leads only to tension and divides Georgian society. It insults people's traditions and national sentiments. I think it's against the constitution to create such organizations that are against our national values.
I want to say that I'm a Christian Orthodox myself, and not all of Christian Orthodox priests are like that, hopefully. And the second thing is part of the people that are reacting against gay wedding feel that it's coming from abroad. It's something that we import in our culture, and it's not really French, for instance, or whatever. And it's a growing feeling in France that we are not protected from globalization effects, and maybe they think that it's a part of one effect of the globalization that we can see, that in our culture it's getting mixed with other cultures, and that maybe they are worrying that it's changing too fast and that there is no protection against all these changes that they see economically, culturally, sexually, and maybe they think it's going too fast. Maybe that's part of the explanation of why it has been so strong against the gay wedding. And I think that's not everybody is getting up in the morning thinking about that issue. Maybe you do because you're an activist, but I think most of the people that are demonstrating in the streets with you are more worried about the general situation of France and maybe about all these changes happening that they don't control anymore. Maybe that's part of the problem. I'm trying to understand what's... For me,
I don't know all the people who came to the mobilization, but I'm sure it's really important because lots of people, lots of young people have come to this mobilization. Lots of families coming from far away and spending monies, and they have no personal direct interest in that. So the question is, why do they spend all that money, all that time, and come to this and come repeatedly to this mobilization?
And the short answer, because we're out of time.
Okay, and just because it's the way they see the society evolving, and they don't. Well, it's true. They have fears of what's going next because art.
They have a fear of the loss of control over
yes,
the
now they know, and they know that gay lobbies want something else. Now they claim.
That's their
assisted,
fear.
But that's a shame we couldn't have a dialogue, calm dialogue about it in the French society.
Philippe Moreau-Chevrolet, I want to thank you, and I thank Marie-Laure Desbrosses. Unfortunately, we're out of time. Oussam Moukouane, thank you for coming in. Thank you for joining us here for the France 24 debate.